Spirit lights, ghost lights, UFOs, angelic orbs. Just what in the world are the Marfa Lights? You tell me. I really want to hear your theories. Hi, I'm Marfa Lights. You're watching True Tales of the Paranormal, and I'm to share with you today my encounter with the Marfa Lights of Texas. Join me as I share my chilling true paranormal experiences. I'll never forget the first time I saw a ghost. Have you ever seen Bigfoot? I've had some strange encounters, and I've seen some things I can't explain. But one thing is for sure, the paranormal is real. Good versus evil. Are we alone in the universe? Every story here is true. Marfa, Texas is located in West Texas. Last summer of 2024, my husband and I went on a driving vacation throughout West Texas. And the theme of our vacation was local watering holes. My husband loves to swim, and he wanted to see some of these watering holes that are renowned for their special features that you don't find elsewhere. So one of the places I wanted to see was Marfa, Texas. We stayed in the town of Alpine, Texas, and Alpine is about 30 miles or so from Marfa. And to visit the lights are known to appear in the evenings. We drove a few miles, and there's a viewing stand that was built there in the early 2000s, and that is where we went to view the Marfa Lights. Now, the Marfa Lights, there's a number of theories as to what they are, and I'm going to go into the history a little bit. In order to do that, I need to refer to my notes. Okay, the Marfa Lights, otherwise known as the Marfa Ghost Lights, are first recorded in 1883 by a cowhand by the name of Robert Reed Ellison, who was out driving cattle in the evening. He saw a number of these lights appear along the horizon, and he assumed they were Apache campfires. Now you got to remember, this is the late 1800s, 1883. The Apache were still out there in the wild. This had originally been their land before the Europeans came and stole it from them. And Marfa was a cattle community. That's all they did there, was they herded and bred cattle. And so he's out there one night driving the cattle, and he sees these, or driving the cows, he sees these strange lights along the horizon. So he goes back the next day and he's telling his friends about it. And they're all like, oh yeah, we've seen those too. And we also assumed they were Apache campfire lights, but a number of us went out there to investigate. They could never find any sign of campfires anywhere, or any sign of the Apache having been in the area camping. So what created these lights? You've got to remember, this is 1883, extremely rural West Texas. Electricity, car headlights, no way, not in 1883 out in far West Texas. So no one really knew what caused these lights. And some local people assumed that they were ghost lights. We don't know, right? So time goes by, and other settlers over the years also report seeing these Marfa Lights. Well, the first publication about the sightings was in July 1957 in an issue of Coronet magazine. Then in 1976, Elton Miles published a book, Tales of the Big Bend. This whole nature area of West Texas is known as the Big Bend area. There's a huge national park there. That's my cat. Blue, calm down. She's real. Okay, Blue. She's got her own opinion as to what the Marfa Lights are. Yeah? What are the Marfa Lights, Blue? What are they? Of course not. She's decided not to share. That's typical cat. As I was saying, Tales of the Big Bend was published in 1976, and the author Elton Miles discusses early sightings of the Marfa Lights, and he also includes a photo taken by a local rancher. Then you have another scholar, author, Bunnell, and he maps out 34 sightings recorded between the years 1945 and 2008. Now, back in the 40s, the whole area was a military training area. And supposedly, according to the military, they never saw anything. But hey, they've told us that before. So take that with a bowl of salt, if you will. So in 2003, the Marfa community decided to build a viewing station. And the viewing station is located on a little inset off of Highway 90 that runs between Alpine, Texas, and Marfa. And the viewing stand, again, it's about 9 miles before you hit Marfa. So Bunnell, when he went and analyzed the Marfa Lights, undertook his study. Now he's mapping out sightings between 1945 and 2008. He identified a total of 34 sightings over that length of time, of which, on average, the lights would only appear 5.25 nights a year. That's my dog running across the floor here. It's impossible to do these videos in silence, I'm sorry. So only 5.25 nights a year. And when we told the family we were going to go out there and we were hoping to see the Marfa Lights as part of our trip, they were all like, I hope they come out for you, because they hardly ever do, and the conditions have to be exactly right, and yada, 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 you know how it is. So we went. And when we got there, I was talking to one of the people who worked at our hotel in Alpine, and he was telling me that one of the most popular theories is that the lights are actually car headlights coming down Highway 67. And if you look at the map, you'll see how the highways are organized here, where Marfa is located in West Texas. And he said these lights can be seen along the horizon, and that's what people think the Marfa Lights are. Well, then I asked him, what about the settlers who saw them in the 1800s, before there were cars? He had no explanation. Debunked his explanation in like 2 seconds. Okay. Another common explanation for the Marfa Lights is that they're a mirage, because you got to realize this area of Texas is the desert. And the elevation of Marfa is actually at 4,688 feet, which is about 1,429 meters above sea level. So there's a big difference during the daytime desert highs and the nighttime desert lows between 40 to 50 degrees. So you've got hot air, you've got cold air meeting up, and people thought that friction between the hot and cold air created the Marfa Lights. This is now the Marfa Lights Part 2. I had a very long interruption that lasted 24 hours. And I was going to go ahead and fake it and put on my dirty shirt from yesterday, so y'all would never know. I can't find my top. I don't know what happened to it. I've looked everywhere. That thing's gone. So in honor of the Marfa Lights, I decided to wear this t-shirt because it's got this source of light here, the moon, and it kind of resembles what the Marfa Lights look like in person. And although, according to previous research, they say the Marfa Lights have an average of appearing only 5.25 times a year, we got to see them. Not only that, but my husband and I got to see them twice. On our first night's stay in Alpine, we drove out to the viewing station to watch the lights. And then my husband was so extremely perplexed and so hell-bent on explaining what these Marfa Lights are. At the second night we were there, he was all gung-ho to go see them again. And I was just kind of like, but we've already seen them. So we went a second time, and lo and behold, there they were again. Now, the funny thing about this situation, before we left our hotel room, we had dinner and we were just waiting for it to get dark. I'm sitting there in the bed and I'm thinking, these Marfa lights, I already knew that the whole explanation of them being headlights from Highway 67 is baloney, because they were seen before cars were invented. So you can rule that out. And the only possible thing that I could think that they were, trying to come up with a scientific explanation, was some sort of atmospheric phenomena that occurs when the hot air of the desert during the day hits the cold air of the desert at night. And there's some sort of friction, and wherever these places along the horizon where that friction hits, that's where these lights appear. So I thought that's got to be it. Now, another weird thing is the evening that we went, it was relatively warm. I don't remember exactly what the temperature was. I did not make note of it, and I really regret that now. But it was like around 104 in the day. It was extremely hot. We went in early June on our trip, and the whole trip, it was so hot. And I was so miserable. I don't do well in the heat at all. And so this had been an extremely hot day. Like I said, it was around 104 or so. So we're in there in the evening now, out there in the evening. We're still in shorts and t-shirts. We didn't have to change. The temperature didn't seem to fluctuate by much. And I was like, I know it gets cold in the desert at night, but I'll be darned if I'm gonna wear pants. I'll bring a jacket in case I get cold. Well, it wasn't really that chilly out at night. I would estimate it was probably around 85 when we got there. It felt like around 85 degrees, somewhere in the mid 80s. So again, it wasn't, that cold desert night air, but it wasn't the hot as hell air from during the day. So it was a relief. We arrived at dusk. It was just starting to get good and dark, because you cannot see these lights during the day. You have to go at night. Now, these lights are 100% unpredictable. You don't know if they're going to be there on the day you go, and you don't know what time they're going to show up during the night. And so we're sitting there in our hotel room. I was doing some artwork. I'm also a professional watercolor and visionary artist. So I was doing some artwork there on the bed in our hotel room. My husband was on his computer. And I decided, what if it's not an atmospheric phenomenon? What if it's something paranormal, but no one can figure out what the heck it is? Because in my opinion, it either must be atmospheric phenomena that has a natural explanation, or it's paranormal. There's nothing in between. It can't be anything technological like what people have been assuming. Because again, cars didn't exist when the first reported sightings were being noted. So I'm sitting there on my bed, right? And I'm thinking, well, how could I go about proving if we do see them, whether it's atmospheric phenomena or paranormal? And I thought, I know. Spirits are telepathic. If it is ghost lights, like what a lot of people think they are, or perhaps they're UFOs. Again, I don't use the term UAP. I've stated my opinion on that before. Aliens must be telepathic. I mean, they're so much more advanced than us because they can get to our planet, right? We can't get to theirs. So I thought, okay, whether it's spirits, whether it's extraterrestrials, maybe even angelic, who knows, all of those beings are telepathic. So I sat there on the bed and I concentrated and I cleared my mind and I said, okay, I'm here in Alpine. I wish to see what's known as the Marfa Lights tonight. I've come all the way from Houston. It's hot as hell during the day. And then I went into all these complaints about my day and I got really sidetracked. And then I zoomed in again on my focus and I said, if you can hear me, I would dearly love to see you tonight. I said, and please don't let it be too late because my husband, he likes to go to bed kind of early. So I'm like, we can't be there till like around midnight. I said 11 o'clock tops, okay? Thank you so much. Never out. Sent it out there, right? Sent out my intention, sent out my thoughts, whatever. And I was telling my husband what I was doing. He's laughing. He's like, you're so silly. He says, we're not going to see anything. I'm like, hey, you never know, right? You don't know unless you try. Well, we go. It gets good and dark. About 20 minutes later, boop, a light appears on the horizon. And then someone asks, and there's like around 10 to 12 people there watching. And someone asks their friend or whoever they were with, they said, is that a car headlight? And the woman says, when's the last time a car had one headlight? And then the guy says, motorcycle. And he's like, no. And the woman, she was all into it. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe they're here. I can't believe they're here. And I'm looking at this, right? And I'm like, is that a headlight? And I had a new phone then. I had just gotten the iPhone 15. The phone I record on for my videos is the iPhone 15. And I don't use a mic, not yet. I want to get a good mic. But so I zoomed in with the video option on my phone with the camera, and I'm looking through it, and I'm like, that's only a single light. It's not like so far away that two headlights would look conjoined, It was a single orb of light. Pretty much like the stuff we're seeing right now in New Jersey and elsewhere. And that's exactly what it looked like, thinking back on it. And my husband's like, I can't believe it showed up. And I said rather loudly, I did ask them to come tonight because I told them I was coming. And everyone laughed. And then I hear this other lady say, thank you so much for that. I'm like, oh, no problem. And so we're watching, and all of a sudden, boop, there's another light. So now there's two of them. They're further apart. Again, definitely not headlights. And then they start going, they're just moving in these weird configurations in relation to one another. Definitely not car headlights. And anyone who believes there are car headlights, just give me a break, okay? Please. So these lights were doing these weird things, and then in looking at them, and again, I'm zoomed in through my camera, and then one of them started to go like this. Just one of them. I was looking at two lights, and I was thinking, is that my arm shaking? Because, I'm holding my phone up. I'm like, no, because the other one is stationary. And then I realized I wasn't filming. And I also took some photos, and you'll see those. So I'll show that now and do a little bit of a voiceover with that. And then I'll come back to tell you the bizarre thing that happened on night 2. This whole time on both of these 2 nights, you do see a steady red light off in the distance. That is from a radio tower. So that shows up in all of my photos, in all of my video footage. That's normal. The first night was June 8th, 2024. So you can see the time was around 9:30. Here's the first picture, just black. Here's the first set of Marfa Lights. There's 2 on the right. And here I'm zooming in on those 2 Marfa Lights that are on the right-hand side of that first picture. You can see this one has a little bit of blue in it, which is supposed to be really rare. That red dot on the left is the radio tower. And here are the 2 Marfa Lights that are on the right-hand side of the previous picture, zoomed in, obviously. Here's proof of how I took the picture with my iPhone, took all these with my iPhone. Now here you see the radio tower and an orb right behind it, a huge one. And there's one off to the far right as well. And I zoom in on the one on the right. The radio tower is on the left. There are 2 orbs in the center of the photo. There are the 2 Marfa Lights. There is a spirit orb. That was really close to us too. It was like about maybe 20 feet from us. And there is a close-up of that. Weird shape. Here it is again on the right with another Marfa light in the background, zooming in on the Marfa light in the background. And you can see they look very much like the plasma orbs that people have been seeing all over the place lately. This makes me really think they're the same thing, but they showed up here in Marfa first for some bizarre reason. I don't know what that is on the far lower right-hand side. I did zoom in on it. I think it's another spirit orb. I can't be positive. Here we have two Marfa lights again along the horizon. You can see some atmospheric disturbance around the Marfa light that's on the left-hand side of that previous picture. I don't know what's going on here. You could not see any of that with the naked eye. Here I am just zooming in to give you the best point of view. Here you have two Marfa lights showing up along the horizon. This is the one on the right. Look at the rainbow color around it. They say that is hardly ever seen, but it has been reported in a couple of instances. I may have the only existing photograph. I've never seen a photograph of a rainbow around one of the Marfa lights. Now here's a really weird one. That looks like a ship to me. It doesn't look like any of the other lights. And here there's, again, some weird atmospheric anomaly over the Marfa light. It kind of reminds me of those monsters from the War of the Worlds with, what's his face in it? You know, that real famous guy. Tom Cruise, there you go. Night 2 pics are coming up with a strange spirit orb in those. Stay tuned to see those. Personally, I really do believe the Marfa lights are some type of paranormal phenomena. Basically because they appeared when I asked them to. Another very bizarre thing that happened on our second viewing of the Marfa lights, this is now night number 2, we saw what looked to me exactly like a spirit orb. Now, I've seen tons of photographs. We all have. If you're into the paranormal, you've seen photographs of spirit orbs, and they're basically white to gray, and they're made up of all these specks of, you know, light, and they're three-dimensional, and they float around in haunted places. You know, you can see them on TV shows, and whether those are faked or not, I don't know, but you know, you can see little orbs flying around and stuff. I have a whole other video I'm going to put out. I'm going to start hyping it now. When I hit monetization, I need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. The watch hours are a big deal, so I appreciate you sharing my videos out. But we stayed at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, upon which Stephen King based his novel, The Shining. We stayed in room 426, which is one of the haunted rooms at the Stanley. And our first night there, our daughter and I went ghost hunting. My husband pooped out and went to bed. And we had some wild experiences, and I have photographic evidence of the ghosts at Stanley. And so when I am monetized, I'll show you all that. It's really, really cool. You will not believe your eyes, honestly. But that's for future, but I've seen ghost orbs in person. That's how I've seen them at the Stanley, and I have photographed them. It's really, really cool. So I really do think they're either spirits or they are either extraterrestrial or angelic. They've got to be something that is telepathic. I think I've pretty much proven that. So it's the next evening, right? We've gone out to eat and we're in our hotel room. And then my husband's like, we're going again, right? I'm like, what do you mean we're going again? We've already seen them. He's like, I want to figure out what they are. I need to see them again. Don't you want to see them again? And I'm like, I guess. I wasn't nearly as excited as I was the first night. So again, I sent out my little telepathic message and I said, listen, thank you so much. And I did thank them the night before while we were still at the viewing stand. I thanked them the second they showed up. I was like, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. I came all the way from Houston and I went into my spiel again about what the horrible day was because it was just so freaking hot. I mean, I felt, when you feel sick all day from the heat, that's no fun. And so I did my little telepathic spiel again, and lo and behold, my husband did the same thing. And I was thinking to myself, no, they're definitely not going to show up. So, because he is just such a non-believer. And so we go, and we're standing there, and it took a little bit longer this time. I think we were there about a good 45 minutes on the second night. And again, there was anywhere from about 10 to maybe 15 people this time. The crowd was a little bit larger. It may have been a Friday night. I don't remember. Again, I will put the dates below of the exact dates I was there watching the Marfa Lights. But again, around 15 people or so, and we're watching, and then all of a sudden, boop, you see the light come on, and everybody goes, oh, a collective gasp. And my husband's like, there they are again. And I'm telling this other guy on the other side of me, yeah, we were here last night and saw them, and they put on a little bit of a show. They blink on and they blink out at random. Okay, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Then they came on again, and at one point we could see five at one time, and it's really rare to see more than 3 at once. So we got a view of 5 at one time, and again, they did the weird little things where there's 2 of them, and they were kind of switching places and going back and forth, and everyone there was just like, what is this? What are we looking at? And this one lady's like, oh, I'm a local here. I think it's all weather related. So when I see there's a change in the weather, or I know there's going to be some sort of atmospheric disturbance, I come out. And I said, well, what's supposed to be tonight? She says, well, they're expecting a mild lightning storm over by Presidio. Now remember, Presidio, Texas is along Highway 67 coming toward Marfa. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so lightning storm. Now, I know from my own paranormal investigations and my own studies that lightning creates a great deal of energy for paranormal activity. It really fuels it. And so I was thinking, oh, there's lightning, and we may be here for a good show, right? And so then eventually, maybe about another 15 minutes, so now we're there a little over an hour. We've already seen 2 or 3 of the lights appear. I've taken some more footage. All of a sudden, the lights were to our right along the horizon. All of a sudden, to our left, you could see lightning in the clouds. And the woman says, here we go. We're about to see more lights. Night 2, June 9th, 2024. Here is the gorgeous West Texas sunset. And how my camera made the pictures so light, I have no idea. It is now pitch dark. You can see 2 Marfa lights. Here we have 1 Marfa light. And again, when you see that red light off to the left, that's the radio tower. Here we see the 5 lights. I'm zooming in on one of them. And I just go along the picture from left to right, zooming in on the lights to give you a better view. That one's very pixelated. Sorry about that one. And then we have a Marfa light in the upper half, the radio tower in the lower half. And here we have a spirit orb, and it was coming right towards us. It was about 30 feet away. I mean, look at that thing. I have no idea. I've never seen one look like that either. Very bizarre. Now the question becomes, what are they? Where do they come from? In all honesty, we can rule out any source of electrical light because, again, the early sighting recorded in 1883 by Robert Reed Ellison, the cowhand, that can't be lights. Even he thought they were Apache campfires, and people would tell him, oh yeah, we've seen those lights too, and we've gone to look for the campfires. There's nothing there. No sign there was ever a fire. No sign of any human activity. So we can rule out campfires. We can rule out human activity. We can definitely rule out headlights from Highway 67, considering Highway 67 did not exist back then. Can we rule out atmospheric phenomena? No, we cannot. Because the first night we went, there was nothing weird going on in the atmosphere. And like I said, the temperature was pretty steady from day into night. When the lights first started showing up, it was still in the low 80s. You didn't have that hot desert air of the day hitting up against that cold desert air of the night to create that friction for the lights to appear, you know. So at least on night 1, I really believe we can rule out atmospheric phenomena just based upon my own observations of the temperature. Again, I was not standing there with a thermometer or a thermostat. I cannot tell you exactly what the temperature was. I can only tell you how it felt to me personally. And it had to have been in the low to mid 80s when the lights started appearing on the horizon. The other theory is that they are paranormal, that they are some type of ghost lights. I don't know if they're ghost lights, if there's some sort of spiritual activity going on out there. It could be, because spirits are known to be telepathic, so they could have been spirits. But aliens, extraterrestrials, angels are also known to be telepathic. So we can't rule out, we can't rule out spirits. We cannot rule out extraterrestrials. And we cannot rule out angels. Which brings up an interesting question that I've been wondering ever since those orbs began to show up over New Jersey and elsewhere, including my backyard here in Houston. Are those orbs the same phenomena that's been seen in Marfa, Texas all these years? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I really wonder that. I just wonder if somehow that wasn't some sort of starting point. Maybe these entities have a base out there in the desert. I don't know. Because it's also interesting that in the 1940s, there was a military base in that same area. I don't know. Maybe it's a good place for a base. And the aliens thought that years and years before the U.S. military had the thought. So if any of you are going to go to West Texas, if you live in the vicinity of Marfa, Texas, so to where the drive out there won't take you too long, if you go out to see the lights before you go, well, actually, when you're there in the area, send out the telepathic message asking them to show up for you. And be nice and say please. You might want to even say, never sent you. Thanks a lot for watching. If you've seen the Marfa Lights, let me know. If you haven't seen it, you plan on going, let me know. I'm dying to know. And I'd love to know what your experience is. My email is always below my videos. You can reach me there anytime. I'm a public person. I accept emails from everyone and I do reply. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you all so much. I'm asking you, please share my videos, like, comment, subscribe. I'm getting good views, but 60% of the people viewing my videos are not subscribed. Subscribing is free, okay? Please help me out. I would appreciate it so much. And thank you all. Making these videos is so much fun for me, minus all the interruptions and the noise in the background. Until next time, I am Nefer Kefri, your hostess with the ghostess, and I'm wishing you a blessed day ahead. Oh, goddamn it. Is that the mail? I swear to God. I just cannot get this video finished. Now the mail lady's here. Yeah. Back off. Back off. Back off. Back.